Sergio Perez's perceived underperformance has been the subject of a lot of discussion this season. Saying someone has underperformed while they are second to their teammate in the Drivers' Championship would normally be a ridiculous thing to say, but when you compare his season to Max's, it doesn't look great. This is a problem for Sergio. Sure, it's probably a bit bruising to his ego, and he has to deal with the media stories about replacing him, but it might also cost him money. Is Sergio Perez en route for a pay cut due to Max's success? Is this Red Bull being a brutal team to drive for, or is this normal? Stick around to find out. Sergio Perez's performance in comparison to Max Verstappen hasn't been great this season. Max could be winning the Constructors' Championship on his own, and that makes Sergio a bit of a spare part. It isn't just the fact he's finishing second to Max, it's that he is finishing second by tens of seconds. And that's on a good day. On a bad day, he doesn't even make it to Q3 and isn't even on the podium. Nonetheless, he's still second in the Drivers' Championship. If he was driving any other car in any other season, we would all be incredibly impressed. Max's long shadow has just taken the shine off Checo's performance somewhat. This has led to a number of rumours regarding his contract. No, I'm not talking about it being cut short early for Daniel Ricciardo to take his place. I'm talking about how much he's paid. Reports in the media are saying that Sergio Perez has a clause in his contract that means his salary can be adjusted should he fall a certain amount of points behind teammate Max Verstappen. According to The Telegraph, there is a clause in Perez's deal that states if he falls 125 points or more behind teammate Verstappen, then Red Bull have the option of downgrading his multi-million-dollar deal. Perez's current deal is reportedly around €7 million with a bonus €3 million, but both of these values may be cut, as Perez is exactly 125 points behind Verstappen, heading into the summer break. To give this some context, Hamilton has never been this far clear of a teammate in a title-winning season, and there are 10 races left yet. Reportedly, Red Bull can trigger this clause this month, but it's not expected to change the length of the deal, which runs until the end of 2024. These types of clauses are definitely not unheard of in Formula 1. In fact, they're quite common. Le Mans winner Richard Bradley recently spoke about these performance clauses and what they can mean for drivers and teams. There are significant performance clauses in there, from both the team side and the driver's side, Bradley explained. So, for example, if the driver's not within a certain performance range of his teammate, there can often be break clauses in there, or salary reductions. This is the kind of clause that McLaren would have loved to have had in their contract with Daniel Ricciardo, that they had to cut short last year, reportedly costing them £20 million. But we'll come back to that later. Richard then addressed the Perez contract rumours. I've seen that going around, whether it's true or not. I mean, these are the details of the contracts, but they're not unheard of. Then for the teams as well, you can be sure that someone like Lando Norris will probably have a points clause in his contract from McLaren, saying, okay, this year we've got to get a certain number of points, otherwise I'm allowed to search for new employment. It's quite common. While we've heard of contract clauses that give drivers bonuses for performing well, or allow them to leave if the team isn't doing well, a wage reduction for underperforming would be a new one to us. Normally, you just have a clause that allows the team to sever the contract. The oddity of the claims hasn't been missed by the Red Bull team, who are quick to refute them. Helmut Marko has spoken out on the issue of the contract clause reportedly enacted by Red Bull Racing. I don't know where that's coming from, Red Bull's Marko told Sport 1. It's completely out of thin air. The contracts are strictly regulated. There will be no pay cuts, added the Austrian advisor to the world champions. Of course, a regulated contract can absolutely include pay cuts based on performance, yet Marko claims Perez's improvement at the final 2 Grand Prix before the summer break should see him through for now. But even if pay cut clauses did exist, Marko says he's happy with Perez's recent recovery after a slump. Perez was in a bit of a crisis, but he got the curve back in the last 2 races, Marko suggests. Verstappen is just unbeatable at the moment. Perez can't do it, but neither can any other driver. We have no reason to think about measures that affect Perez. There is absolutely no reason for Red Bull to let the wider world know if there was some clause in Checo's contract that could result in a pay cut. So while the rumours sound a bit insane, Marko's denial of them doesn't necessarily mean that a performance clause allowing Red Bull to reduce his wages doesn't exist. There have been some pretty insane examples of the performance clauses, or lack of, biting teams in the arse. I have a couple of great examples for both sides, and I want to start with the one where the team wished they'd protected themselves more. Daniel Ricciardo's time at McLaren was almost a complete disappointment, his win at Monza being the only exception. The second season was especially bad, as he struggled for top 10 finishes while his teammate outscored him by 85 points, almost quadrupling the Honey Badger's haul. McLaren eventually made the decision that Daniel was a detriment to the team, and Oscar Piastri an eager replacement. They made the choice to terminate his contract. Ricciardo's McLaren contract was a 3-year arrangement, with his salary rumoured to be worth in excess of £20 million per year, and the option to end the deal early that was taken by McLaren was believed to have been on Daniel's side. McLaren had no way to end the deal early without just paying him for the final year. McLaren CEO Zak Brown said the early end of Daniel Ricciardo's Formula 1 deal taught him to build more performance protections for the team into future driver contracts. Speaking on the High Performance podcast, Brown said McLaren had gone into the deal so excited that it had not considered the scenario that played out and whether a great driver is going to always be great. One team made the assumption a great driver wouldn't be great, which cost them millions, but we'll come back to that later. Zak said, "He came in having won 7 Grand Prix and was the hottest driver that you could get, and I think we maybe assumed, and I think kind of rightly so, that he was going to pick up where he left off," said Brown of Ricciardo. "To end the relationship early, we've had to write a big check, which is fine because that's the deal we cut. I think what I'll do differently next time is maybe have some more performance protection for us, and not just assume that a great driver is going to always be great. That's the one learning. It's more of a contractual one, but it's a big one. I wonder what kind of clauses they got into Oscar's contract to protect themselves in case he wasn't any good. Whatever they are, Oscar will be more than meeting them. In fact, he's probably on the cusp of making a lot of money in bonuses, as he aims to get a first podium in his debut season after the summer break. Performance bonuses are risky business for teams though, as Lotus found out when they underestimated the abilities of the Iceman, Kimi Raikkonen. When Kimi Raikkonen returned to Formula 1, no one quite knew what to expect. After his short-lived departure in 2009, the Iceman tried his hand at rallying, then NASCAR, before signing a 2-year contract with Lotus in 2012. Expectations were soon shattered, and as it so happens, the Finnish talent's stellar performance almost cost Lotus far more than they had anticipated. According to journalist Heikki Kulta, Raikkonen had negotiated an insanely lucrative pay incentive of €50,000 per point. This was, of course, agreed upon as no one expected him to perform so well. But perform well, he did. In 2012 and 2013, Raikkonen scored 15 podiums, 2 race wins, totaling 390 points. In terms of dollars and cents, these points translated to a whopping €19.5 million. And keep in mind, this was on top of his base salary. The team would eventually go broke in 2015, and Renault would buy 90% of the team for the hefty sum of £1 British. Kimi was reportedly still owed €6 million when Renault bought the team, but never bothered pursuing them for the money. Kimi cost the team so much that they almost couldn't finish the 2015 season. At the Hungarian Grand Prix, they only got their tyres an hour before the first session because of unpaid bills. In Japan, they got locked out of their hospitality suite for the same reason. The team also made an appearance on the UK reality show Can't Pay Will Take It Away, which follows bailiffs who go around recovering debts from people and companies. Kimi's contract was a lesson to the whole grid, as was Daniel's. Incentivize your drivers, but don't leave yourselves in a situation where you owe tens of millions in bonuses or severance payments. Hopefully Checo won't be the next lesson. Let us know what you think of those 2 insane contract situations and Sergio Perez's potential pay cut in the comments down below. And until next time, drive safe and bye for now.